Howdy, y'alls. Welcome to my new subscribers. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you checking out my channel and deciding to subscribe and stick with it. I have to apologize. I have not been posting for a long time because I've had a lot of stuff going on. And I'm trying to think of a way to keep things short and sweet, but man, it's just been a pile on of stuff. So let's see. Um, we had bids for work just recently, and I decided to switch my work from Ogden City down back to Salt Lake City. The reason why is because I've never been happy working in Ogden at the Ogden bus yard. That's just a fact. Simple, and I don't want to go into any details on it and anything like that. It's just been difficult ever since I got up there. So I had the opportunity to move back down to Salt Lake City, and I snatched it up just like that. And right off the bat, everything has been much more positive. Um, I've reconnected with a whole bunch of people who I was friends with before in Salt Lake City, and a lot of people have just come out of the woodwork to let me know how welcome I am in Salt Lake City. It has been more than positive, and I can't say how grateful I am for my reception. In effect, coming back home work-wise in Salt Lake City, I can't even describe the complete change. And the least the less I say about my experience in Ogden working it, the better, because it's in the past, it's done, it's over with. I have no plans on coming back. So anyway, a lot of you guys know my people who've been with me on this channel for a long time. I've been going through a lot of horse crap over the last 3 or 4 years, and it's just been difficult. Every day has been difficult, and I'm finally in a place where things are going right for me right now. So my send away from switching from Ogden back down to Salt Lake City was on my very first night. I got off work and somebody turned left in front of me, and I nailed them in my excursion. And it happened to be the same night that there's a major snowstorm. So okay, I don't know what to think of that, but it was like the curse is being broken, and the curse from Ogden had to send one last punch. So I got stuck kind of in a pickle. I had to try to explain shortly. Um, well, because I knew I was going to be commuting to Salt Lake City back and forth. I had a plan in my head. I was going to change the heater core in my Crown Victoria. And the heater core is what keeps your car warm in the cold. Well, the intake manifold on my car, on my Crown Victoria, had a nipple on it that is known for breaking because Ford had a defect with the intake manifolds for very specific reasons, and this is one of those things. So that broke on me. So I had to do a farm job to fix my Crown Victoria, to take it over to a shop, because I don't have the time. I work full time. I don't have time to fix my Crown Victoria. So I took it to a shop and had the shop, or contracted with the shop to change the intake manifold on my Crown Victoria because that one part was broken, and change the heater core on my car, on my Crown Victoria. So My Crown Victoria is in the shop, and I'm starting new work, and then my Excursion gets wrecked. In after my first day of work down in Salt Lake City. So, and my Crown Victoria has been at the shop for almost a month. For these guys have had my car for a month, doing work on my Crown Victoria. So the first day I get the Crown Victoria, it has a massive intermittent miss. I already know exactly what's going on with this car. When they put it back together, they did not clean the spark plug or coil boots that hook onto the spark plugs. So I had this major miss. Plus, what happened was I had this major miss. I got the Crown Victoria home. I wasn't going to drive the Crown Victoria to Salt Lake because it wasn't running right. So I drove the Excursion. Well, my first night in the Excursion, I get into a wreck. Somebody turned left in front of me, and, I nailed their car. There's nothing I could have done about it. He was just turned left in front of me. So my Excursion was in a wreck. My Crown Victoria is not running right. It's still not running right. I still have not got my Excursion back. So I have to drive my Crown Victoria to work and back with this intermittent miss because my Excursion's still in the shop, the body shop, getting fixed. Well, with the wreck with the Excursion, the way it worked out was the accident happened. We had a major snowstorm. Then, after the wreck was all cleaned up and everything like that, my Excursion got towed, and I was not able to get a way home. 45 miles-ish one way from Salt Lake City to Ogden, because it was a major snowstorm, and the tow truck driver would not drive me to anywhere because he didn't have a passenger license. Okay. Then the police wouldn't help me. I basically was left stranded underneath a bridge in a major snowstorm with no way to get any relief. So I walked up to a Motel 6, and I have nothing but positive things to say about the night manager at the Motel 6 on 33rd South, right next to I-15. The manager or night manager of the store, the Motel 6, let me stay in the lobby until I was able to get my situations figured out. But here's the thing. Tried to do Uber. Could not get through to Uber because my Uber account is locked for some reason that I haven't used for 3 or 4 years. I tried to get Lyft. I couldn't get through to Lyft because of the same thing. I locked out. So I ended up having to call a taxi. So the taxi guy says, well, it's going to be a while. And I'm like, well, I have no choice. You know, what am I supposed to say? Oh, I want the taxi right now. Well, anyway, the taxi driver shows up. And, he can't pull into the Motel 6 parking lot, which is easily accessible. But anyway, there's reasons why that I don't need to ask questions about for a taxi driver being banned from a Motel 6. Okay. So, anyway, there's a 7-Eleven right next to the Motel 6. He pulls up over there, and I have to walk through the snow to the 7-Eleven so that I can be told by the taxi driver, oh, you need to clean your shoes off because you're going to get the inside of my car wet. So I look in the back of the car, and the whole floor is a rubber pad. Okay. Then he goes, well, you have to pay first. Well, I have never um, paid first on a taxi. You always pay at the end of the trip. So anyway, I need to get home. So we get in the car, and he hops on the freeway, and he decides to go. I think it was the Belt Route, which is a local name, or Bangor or whatever, the highways. So since I've been back, I've got to require knowledge. So anyway, I end up in the back seat of a car, a taxi driver that's hostile to start with. Then he goes, and I can see in his gas gauge he has no fuel, or the yellow light on his gas gauge is on. So he says, well, I need to get off the freeway so that we can go get fuel, because he's almost out of gas. And I'm like, yes, please do. And we pull into the station. Well, on the way from the hotel to there, he is driving 2 inches away from his steering wheel because he can barely see because his windshield is fogged up for some stupid reason in the taxi. So I'm dubious, and it's obvious by the body language because I'm a professional driver who's driven taxis and airport ground transportation and buses and paratransit, and so I've got extensive experience observing people's body language. And this guy is scared to death. Okay, well, in a major snowstorm with a person who's scared to death and doesn't have really strong driving skills, I know that I'm in danger. Okay, so he goes in and I go in. I bought a pack of cigarettes and he went and bought whatever he buys. And I'm standing outside having a cigarette. He comes out and I walks over to the car to fill the tank. So I'm smoking a cigarette, this, that, and the other. And I'm walking over and he's getting ready to get in the car. And I'm like, you want me to drive? And he goes, yes. Right off the bat. No hesitation, no nothing. I was like, well, because I'm still unfamiliar with the newness of certain areas of Salt Lake City that have changed in big ways since I moved away in the 80s. There's a bunch of new freeways and overpasses and interchanges that I don't know about because of the way things have changed. So he says yes, and we get back onto the freeway and he kind of directs me around, and so come to find out, the guy's the taxi driver whose taxi I am driving, because I don't want him to drive because I don't want to get into a wreck because he doesn't know how to drive, but I know how to drive in the snow. So we get directed back on there, and we had a nice conversation and everything because I just want to get home. That's all I want, is I want to get home. So come to find out, the guy's from Sudan. He speaks English, but only because English is a very broadly covered language all over the world. So we had a conversation, about religion, this, that, and the other. And he's renting a bedroom in a house that has a bunch of rooms, but the owner doesn't live there because he rents out all the rooms to the house. I have experienced that lifestyle before in the 90s when I was in college. So nothing strange or mysterious or new or anything to me, because I've lived on the edge of existence before. And that's what this guy is. He's from Sudan. He's Muslim. Um, all the other complications and stuff like that. So anyway, I ended up driving myself home in a taxi I paid $175 for, plus the tip, which I couldn't get back. So I was basically let down by my insurance company. I was let down by the taxi company, and it just made it more real to me that when you're alone, you're alone. So, well, not necessarily. I had a driver that I'm friends with, who the first thing he said is, "Why didn't you call me?" Well, in my head, I'm all, well, you live in Ogden. You're going to drive all the way from Ogden down to Salt Lake City to pick me up to drive me back to Ogden. And he's like, yeah. So that was a revelation to me that I need to learn how to ask for help when I need it. And the biggest fear is owing somebody, which I have a hard time with. But anyway, we got that all taken care of. Well, I still have my Crown Victoria because I got my Crown Victoria back, but it has the misfire. But for the last 2 weeks or so, since the Excursion got wrecked, I have to drive my Crown Victoria. Now, it still has the intermittent miss. It has, when it doesn't have the miss, it is running fantabulously better. But I am PO'd at PO'd about the stuff that was left undone, the damage that didn't need to be done to my car, and all the other stuff that was undone that didn't need to be undone by the mechanics of this shop. So that's an issue that once I get my Excursion back, Crown Vic's going back to the shop, and if the shop, the supervisor or manager or whoever he is, doesn't get things fixed right to the way my car was before I took it to them, because all they needed to do was the heater core and the intake manifold, and they didn't test drive the car or anything to see, because the intermittent misfire would have been readily apparent right before they even pulled out of the driveway. So anyway, that's what's been going on. I think I've got everything covered. Sorry for the long chat, but I just been taking care of business and trying to figure out how the heck to survive. And oh my goodness. So when I get my Excursion back, the Crown Vic is either going to a shop. I already talked to somebody down in Salt Lake who I trust, who I know. If I have to get the car there, and then I'll figure out how to get my money back for my Crown Victoria. Which, I mean, if it didn't have the intermittent miss, it would be running fantastic. And the other stuff they need to fix, because there's no reason for the radio to be working perfectly before they worked on it, and then now there's a problem with the radio, so which it never had a problem with. And I've had the dash out on my Crown Vic twice myself. I was just doing it, had them do the work, because I didn't have the time because I'm working so much. But I still have not been able to figure out how this works. When I was in Kentucky, I was able to do the dash on my Crown Vic myself twice. I dropped the whole dash because I had to change some heater controls and the heater core. I've done the, yeah, it's a mystery to me why so many things will go wrong with a job that's pretty straightforward if you just analyze or use YouTube to figure out how to take things apart. So anyway, thanks for watching. I apologize for not having posted for a long time. I appreciate everybody who subscribes to my channel and comments, leaves comments and everything like that. I'm hopefully going to be back on track. And if you made it this far, thanks for watching. And yes, I've been trying to practice, but I'm working a lot more hours, and mentally I'm in a better space. I'm with a much more supportive and encouraging environment, and I had will be able to pay off some of my there stuff that needs to be paid off, and I'm in an environment where we have enough workers that when I decide to go and reduce my bills at other places like storage units, um, get that all taken care of, so I won't be paying almost $200 a month on storage, because I have a house now. I just have not been able to have a vehicle. And so I can tell by my voice that I'm starting to drone, which means I need to end this conversation. So thank you for watching, and I appreciate every one of you guys, even though I don't know you by name. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll be slowly bringing myself back up to par as far as stuff. I would appreciate it if anybody had any suggestions of simple tunes or easy tunes, or questions or anything like that you might want to hear on the Pakistani parlor pipes. I have soprano pipes, and I have a set of bass pipes that were not supposed to work. And there it is. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll hopefully be getting back on track. Thanks for watching. Bye.